Drop it low, let me play that back.
What?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Millbrook School here today. I'm Andre Hadzima alongside JC Downs, freshman of Millbrook, who is a softball player and currently on the varsity softball team. Charlie Case currently at a golf tournament. So, JC, how are you feeling right now coming into this?
Pretty good. I'm a little nervous because I've never done this, but feeling pretty good. I'm excited to watch the whole game.
Awesome. Well, today we got Millbrook against Suffield Academy, starting around 3:30 with Justin Munoz on the mound. JC, you want to walk us through the lineup a little bit? Okay, so right now we have Justin Munoz on the mound with Pat Costin catching, Pedro Leon at first base, Jack Nessler at second, Mike Ciano at short, Alex Ciano at third base. That's the brick wall, like I like to mention. You have Cooper McGuire at left, Chris Diaz at center, commit to Tulane, who currently leads the team in home runs, and of course Zach Walsh at right field as we get started here today. So JC, you guys had a game yesterday. How did that go for you?
We lost 7-4 to King's School. Top of the seventh, they scored 3 runs on a bunch of bunts, and the softball team just couldn't string those together. I think if they got the first couple of bunts, then it would have ended the game for them. However, we also didn't score in the bottom of the seventh. So.
And how did you perform?
I had a pretty good day at the plate. Pretty good in the fields, and I just wish I dove for one of those bunts, but it's all right.
Yeah.
All right, first pitch. You have Franklin Rivera up to bat. He has a pretty good batting average of about 243.
And it's a little bit of a dirty kind of home plate, so we're kind of just fixing some things up, a little chippy since it was so dry, but here we are.
All right, first pitch. First pitch, strike right down the middle. Count is 0-1.
We'll love to see that from Munoz, attacking on first pitch here, a good fastball, and we'll definitely see some of the same throughout this game. Fortunate ball one, but I think staying in the count will be good, and hopefully he can get the K here early. As Rivera Jr., his younger brother Gabriel Rivera, is batting second and leads the team with a .471 batting average. As that pitch last time was clocked at 85 miles an hour by Munoz, so it's safe to say he's got some good velocity, right, JC?
Yeah, he's only a freshman. It's pretty good. He's already committed to BC.
Now I believe it's a 1-2 count here, and we'll see how Munoz does. What do you think he's going with pitch-wise next?
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about the baseball pitches, to be honest.
Something probably down the zone, but we know that he throws fastball, curveball, and changeup.
Pat Costin looking for it, and he's got it. One out.
It's a great first out by Munoz. We'll love to see him take care of the very beginning of the lineup, and we hope that he can do the same with his Franklin Rivera's younger brother, Gabriel.
Gabriel also has an extremely good batting average of .471. Anything close to the 500 range is really good.
Absolutely, JC, especially in this league. They're playing as the western part of the NEPSAC, and that's huge and definitely a tough competition. Currently 4-8 on the year, so kind of down season for Suffield, but we'll see what happens in this game.
There's a pop out to right, and it makes it 2 outs in the first inning.
Now batting is Sorry about that, folks. Hayden Kristen, the senior from Illinois, and we'll see what the damage he brings here. Looks like a pretty good foul ball, great contact off of Munoz, who's throwing some heat. You were just putting up the radar gun of still about 85, right?
Yep.
Awesome.
Count is 0-1. Strike 2.
So great pitch going pretty much right down Broadway, and something you love to see. You know, your pitcher Natalia Danieluk on the softball team, she's got some heat as well. What do you think what is her approach when it comes to one of the heavier hitters?
She just does her best to throw some off speed. Usually throws one high or low. And in our league, they often go for it. So
swing like that, yeah. Nature has. That was strike 3 by Munoz, and that will be the end of the first inning. We love to see that kind of. The bench has some pretty good energy, and it's a pretty good start for this Millbrook defense. Now, JC, how were the umps last game against King yesterday? I know we've had some pretty shaky ones here in baseball, but it looks like today's pretty good so far.
We had a little bit of an issue behind the plate. A lot of calls that were at people's eyes were being called as a strike, and then things that were right down the middle weren't a strike.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was a little bit tough to gauge what's a strike and what's a ball.
Always pretty hard to deal with when you have a kind of iffy umpire with a wide zone, to say the least.
Especially with a close game, it's always tough to.
Absolutely. And you said you had a couple doubles yesterday. And
I had one double and 2 singles.
Awesome, and a couple RBIs. JC Downs, one of the leaders in RBIs for the softball team, so we love to have you on the show here today. So.
Chris Diaz up to bat first, a senior committed to Tulane. Every game that I've watched so far, he's been ready to go at the plate. Lots of contact, and usually gets on base.
Absolutely. He had a home run last game, a 2-run home run. That was most of the offense for the Mustangs on Monday against a dominant Cheshire Academy. Mustangs managed to stay in the game, losing 6-4 with Diaz with 2 RBIs and Munoz following as well. But today we have Teddy Herbert on the mound for Suffield Academy, a class of 2023 from Germantown, New York. It looks like he throws a fastball, changeup, and potentially a slider, but we'll look to see what some of his other pitches are throughout this game.
It's much slower than Justin, about 10 miles per hour slower. He's right at 73 miles per hour in warm-ups.
Now, looking at some of the stats here from Match Preps, it seems that Suffield Academy is a pretty dominant offensive team with their best player, Gabriel Rivera, hitting .471 on the season, as we had mentioned earlier, and the rest of the team hitting just below the 300. JC, what do you think about those stats?
They're all pretty good. Anything that's around the 200, 300 range is usually a very good batting average. In baseball and softball, it's common that you're not going to hit the ball because the pitchers are so good, but the
first pitch?
The first pitch is a ball, a little outside and a little low.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that was a little bit of a meatball as far as velocity goes, probably around 67 to 70. Whoa!
Strike on the outside corner.
A little bit outside there.
1-1.
JC, what did you think about that pitch? I personally thought it was a bit outside.
I thought it was a little outside, but I think Chris is going to hit one here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. Chris Diaz leading the team with 6 home runs this season with the 2-run home run last game, and prior to that had 5 home runs in 3 games on the year. So definitely safe to say he's pretty dominant offensively. But
definitely. Counts now 2-1. 3-1. Chris is up in the count. All the balls have been outside.
Yeah, it looks like every pitch pretty much is hitting the other batter. As far as Chris Diaz was a righty, it's safe to say he would be on base already. Good foul ball there.
Foul ball.
Yeah.
Foul ball to the left side. A little late on it, but it could just be because it's outside.
Yeah, and full count now, so it'll be interesting to see how Diaz approaches this at-bat. Last game, he ended up popping up on a 3-0 count with the bases loaded and 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. So it's safe to say that he might have a more safe approach given that last performance.
Deep fly ball to center field. It's dropping in. Chris is going second base. and he has a stand-up double to lead off the game.
Yeah, pretty great piece of contact there by Diaz. You love to see that with 3-2 count, and it's got the bench going a little bit rowdy here. I was talking with Coach Delville and Coach Harlan of the Millbrook Mustangs, and they had mentioned to me that last game the big problem was against Cheshire was the lack of energy. Bottom of the 7th with runners on 2nd and 3rd, and not really a peep from the bench. So he said they're definitely working to improve on that, which we can hear early on here.
Strike one right down the middle. Cooper up to bat, second at bat.
Yeah, batting second right now. Cooper McGuire, a good contact kind of guy, and certainly doing a good job so far.
All right, Chris looks like he's in a pickle. He's back to second. And he is thrown out.
A good pickoff move by Suffield. Kind of poor base running by Chris Diaz after having a great stand-up double. You just hate to see that kind of pickoff move, but brilliant job by Herbert, and you can see he's very seasoned in that department.
I was also picked off yesterday at second. Thought the ball was going back to the pitcher, and I was caught kind of sleeping. But
yeah, that's a pretty tough kind of out to get. When I'm sure you're a little frustrated after the game.
Won't be doing that again. Same exact situation as Chris. On base with a double and got picked off.
Now, was there one out still, or was it later in the game? Oh, no outs.
No
okay.
outs, first inning.
Now you do have the wheels. I know you're a great steal kind of person. Bat early in the order, right, with your speed. So definitely a little unfortunate, but I know definitely will make it up again in the next at bat or next game, to say the least. Ball way outside. That would have hit Chris Diaz. So it looks like Herbert's got a little bit of a control issue, and velocity is pretty down. Not a great combination at all.
If I were the batter and noticed that all the balls were going outside, I'd continue to crowd the plate so that they would just keep throwing outside. Another ball. It counts 2-2 now. The ball was thrown very inside, almost hit Cooper.
Yeah, McGuire being a smaller kind of guy, he can get out of the way pretty easily, and it's hard to get hit, but he's almost got nailed in the head there. And I know last game against Cheshire, Mike Ciano got hit right in the helmet on the side, so a little bit of a scary moment, but he was completely fine, and maybe we'll see something similar today.
The 3-2 count, pop up to center, might be dropping. Nope, caught by second baseman.
Yeah, that's just a great communication by Suffield Academy to call off everyone else, and you had second base who clearly had a good read on that, and a kind of blooper which almost could have dropped, but as you saw, it was just not far enough out in right field.
Those ones are kind of tough because they look like they're going to drop right in the middle, but you just have to communicate, and that's very key in softball baseball.
Absolutely, and you know, now someone like Pat Costin who can hit deep balls, I don't think that's really a concern for him.
No.
Strike one count on Costin. JC, what do you do when you have a 0-1 approach at the plate with 2 outs? Are you a more aggressive hitter, or do you lay back a little bit?
I'm not really sure that it depends on the outs, but with 0-1, on the first 2 pitches, first 2 strikes, you should definitely be swinging your hardest, going for the fences. But
yeah,
once it gets to 0-2 or you're down with 2 strikes at any point, you should be going for contact.
It's pretty low pitch there, and you can see that Costin pretty happy with that call as it's now 2-1. Definitely should probably lay back on him, but we'll see what happens here. Costin being a pretty good contact and power kind of guy gets the green light at pretty much everything. So I'm sure you noticed that he leads the team in on-base percentage and also draws the most walks for the Mustangs lineup. So.
Got 2 outs, counts 2-1.
Now,
catcher calls time, going to talk to the pitcher.
Now, I know you play third base, but whenever the catcher, Abby Highland for softball, calls timeout, do you ever go to the mound and help out with the visit, or you lay back?
No, I just kind of stay where I am, stay put, wait for them to figure it out, and then get ready for the next play.
Pretty smart move there. Oh, big hack there by Costin. He was looking to take that 450 dead center, but unfortunately got on top of it a little bit, as you saw.
Counts now 2-2 with 2 outs. Let's see what Costin can do. hard ground ball hit to the shortstop, and he is out.
It's just a good piece of contact from Costin, as he seems pretty frustrated by that one, to get through the hole at short, but unfortunately the shortstop just had a good read on it and was able to collect it with ease. So
Scores now 0-0, top of the second.
And coming up to plate, I believe, will be Connor Tagine, who class of 2024 from Longmeadow, Massachusetts, which isn't too far from Suffield at all. So definitely known as a more local kid, but we'll see what happens here and what he can bring. And JC, you guys play St. Luke's on Saturday for softball team. I know the baseball team will come here on Friday, and we anticipate to have you and Charlie K back on the show. So it should be interesting to hear a little bit more insight after watching this game and understanding it a little bit more. So how do you think the game will go for you guys on Saturday going into it?
Should be a close game. They are ranked pretty high in the rankings. We actually didn't play a full 7-inning game until yesterday. It's either been a mercy rule our way or getting mercied by the other team.
Yeah.
So it should be another 7-inning game, close and fun.
That's great. And unfortunately, it will be away, so I won't get to see it. Yeah. But I wish you guys the best. And let's hope their baseball team is pretty competitive as well. As I hear, rumor has it, Mike Ciano starting on the mound for Friday, 4 p.m. being senior night for the team. So we should be interesting to see. But yeah. And you were at the All-Star game for softball on Sunday, is that correct? How did that go?
It was pretty good. There were a lot of kids there. There were just too many players on each team.
They had too many All-Stars?
Yeah, too many. Because there's 2 or 3 players from each team in both the Class C and Class B division. There were about 24 girls on each team, and obviously only 9 can play in the fields, and only about 3 get up in each inning. So
yeah,
I only got 1 at bat and 3 times in the field. It was just like a very quick game.
And how did you do that 1 at bat against the All-Star lineup?
First pitch was a strike, and I just told myself I was going to swing at it. So I kind of got under it a little bit. It was a deep pop up to second, to left.
Well, maybe next season when you have the All-Star game, you can drive that deep right center field.
Hopefully.
I know you have a couple inside the park home runs, so pretty good to hear. And hoping you can get one over the fence in this season.
That's my goal. That's my goal. Hit one over.
You gotta get some more power in the bat, but I think you can definitely do it by this season. So.
Top of the second.
Ball outside to Connor Tagine, class of 2024, and we'll look to see what happens.
0-1 now. Got strike 1.
Attempted to check swing, attempted to check swing that pitch to Tagine, but unfortunately just could not hold up, or what seemed like umpire just gave him the called strike. Either way, a good pitch by Munoz.
Munoz, another pitch down the middle. Counts now 1-2.
Munoz set to pitch, and we'll see what happens on a 1-2 count.
And strike 3, batter's out.
86 mile hours, and that was pretty much heat by Munoz, almost his top velocity of the season. Against Pomfret a couple weeks ago, he was stopping 87, so very close to his fastest he's pitched here at Millbrook, but definitely good early on. You know, he ended up was relieving for an inning last game against Chester Academy, his second time ever relieving. And he gave up 1 run, but threw some good pitches. It got some nice fastballs and a couple good changeups. So did his job, to say the least. Unfortunately, gave up 1 run, but it happened. So.
It's now 0-1. Another 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball was high outside.
And Anthony Greco, a sophomore who is at bat here right now, is taking time out here on a 1-1 count, maybe trying to reset. It's interesting to see how he does this season. Seems that he has a pretty good batting average at 200 around for being a sophomore, playing all games this season. That's pretty good to say the least.
Another ball low and outside. Counts now 2-1.
Now, JC, what do you think softball-wise? You guys throwing more like 45, 50, or what's the typical velocity based on what you're seeing out there?
Here at Millbrook, I think it's probably around 50 to like 53-ish usually if it's a good pitcher. Some of the weaker teams are probably in the low 40s. It's a huge range of pitching. Sometimes it's like almost harder to hit the slower pitchers than the faster pitchers. But if you're playing travel ball at the 18U level, it's probably close to 60, 65.
Wow, so a lot of variety to say the least.
Yes, I've seen a huge variety.
Yeah, a little bit of a wacky kind of lineup as that ball is grounded right into Ciano, and he makes a good sidearm throw picked by Leon, and that will be the end of the top of the second as the Mustangs come up to bat again and hopefully deliver some offense. I believe they have one hit now with Diaz being the only one, and we'll see what happens here.
Bottom of the second, still score 0-0. Let's see what the Mustangs can do.
Now you got Mike Ciano coming up to bat at the number 4 spot, I believe. Pretty good job this season so far, and look to see what he does here. I know the number 4 spot holds a lot of power as far as being in baseball or in softball goes. Who's your number 4 hitter at softball typically?
Our batting lineup has stayed the same pretty much all year. Natalia Danieluk, our sophomore, has been our number 4 hitter all season.
So seems like in both baseball and softball for the Mustangs, the pitchers are fairly good hitters with Munoz coming right behind Ciano. So a lot of great power and great arms as well. So it'll be interesting to see what Ciano does here. Last game, I believe he had 2 hits and did fairly well against Cheshire Academy, who was pretty dominant pitching-wise. I know, JC, you were at the game here for most of it. What did you think about the pitching staff throughout?
I thought the pitching was pretty good speed. I don't know how close it was to Munoz, but he seemed pretty accurate and good speed.
That's great to hear, and I know that they were pretty much switching every 2 to 3 innings. They don't really have an ace, and I think that kind of shook up the Mustang lineup a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see possible
some good competition.
Yeah, good ace here. So Mike Ciano up to bat now, and we'll see what he's facing. Most likely a fastball, hopefully up and inside. We'll see here exactly what that was, and it's a strike on Ciano at 0-1 count now.
Mike Ciano always brings a lot of energy, so we'll see what he does with that.
Oh, and he's drilled for the 2nd time in 2 games. This time not in the head, luckily. I'm not sure. Were you here for that moment?
Starfish.
Yeah, pretty scary moment to say the least. But
he got right up and ran right over first.
Yeah.
Didn't need to walk or anything.
It's always great to see. And now we got Ciano on first with Justin Munoz coming up to bat, who brought in 2 runs on Monday and also did very well on Saturday against the pretty dominant Canterbury lineup, and I believe drove in a run as well. So now, JC, I know you're pretty somewhat close with Mike Ciano. What does he ever mention his approach to at bats or defense while you're conversing with him at all, or hanging out? Or
he seems very calm about it. He just knows that he just has to make the play. That's his only goal. He doesn't talk much about it.
Yeah.
But brings so much energy.
Well, that's good to hear. And it's a now 1-0 count on Munoz, so we will probably see something right down the middle in order to even up the count, but also got to be looking out for Ciano. I know someone like Mike and similar to you, JC, have some good wheels, so it'll be interesting to see if he goes, or if Coach Harlan tells him to get a little head start going and hopefully swipe a bag.
Munoz fouls one off to the left side very early.
And we can see now it looks like Herbert is setting up, looking for either a pick-off, and he does try to pick off. Unfortunately, just a little slow and late as a righty, given that it's pretty hard to turn around without noticing or without being noticed. So, it's a pretty tough pick-off mood, but count's still 1-0 on Munoz.
Mike Maxiano attempts to steal and is safe.
Oh, he called out.
Wow.
Alexiano, pretty furious. His younger brother, Mike Ciano's younger brother. It looks like that was pretty high. I'm not sure. What did you see there?
I did not see the tag at all.
But they did have a pretty good setup there. They knew he was running and got the pitch out, and you can hear Mike Ciano saying that is terrible to the first base umpire. That's pretty bold of in the second inning to mention something in that nature. JC, do you ever do that in your games?
No. Nope, I just do a lot of mumbling underneath my breath.
Yeah. So yeah. Keep it more quiet saves you, say the least.
Munoz, another foul. I believe the count is 2-1.
2-1, yeah. 2-1 count after the pitch out and the foul ball right there. And you've been following this team pretty closely, JC. Do you think they're doing right now? 2-2 count. 2-2.
Actually, I believe the count is 2-2. Another foul to the left side. Pretty sure Munoz is used to some faster pitching, so this is probably an adjustment for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we were on the radar gun while he was warming up. He was hitting about 67 to 73, and he strikes out there on a very slow pitch. Like you said, Munoz is used to more high 80s, mid to high 80s, so that's definitely an adjustment that you have to get used to throughout this game, especially at each at bat.
We got Alex Ciano to bat, the younger brother of Mike Ciano, with 2 outs.
And it seems like Herbert's been pretty dominant so far here. Besides the double to Diaz, he has gotten multiple swings and misses, as we just saw there with Alex on a pitch right down the middle. Might have been fouled off. I didn't hear anything, although it did move slightly after Alex swung. So
Count's 0-1 now.
Wow, egregious call there. Almost would have hit the lefty batter if he was in the box, but safe to say a pretty wide zone to start the game. Now Alex Ciano steps back into the box, and we'll see what happens here. You know, an 0-2 count, that's a pretty difficult approach with 2 outs. JC, what would you do here?
Alex Ciano gets on one, it gets past the third baseman, he's going 2. Alex is wheeling. He slides in a safe drop ball at second.
Yeah, that's some good wheels by Alex. You can see there he can get into second pretty easily, as with his lack of height definitely helps him and to his advantage, kind of like Jose Altuve of the Houston Astros, who's got good power and good speed. So.
Does he have the most bases stolen in MLB?
I believe he does at the moment. He's close. He's very close. I know for the Oakland Athletics, I believe it was Ricky Henderson, I want to say, who had the most stolen bases ever. So pretty safe to say he's getting up there. But wow, another interesting call. Against Zach Walsh here, and fairly outside, but at least the umpire is staying consistent. I know I'd rather consistency than just more biased to pitchers. I'm not sure what you feel about that situation when you have a shaky ump.
Rather than be consistent, so I know what to expect.
Yeah.
Our ump yesterday definitely was not consistent.
That's tough, and seems like it's a hard ordeal to deal with.
Zach Walsh hits into the shortstop, and he is out at first.
Yeah, pretty good contact by Walsh. Unfortunately, right into the shortstop's glove, and can't bring in little Ciano. So we'll see what this defense will bring, and hopefully throw a shutdown inning against the struggling Suffield team. As I mentioned, they are 4-8 on the season. You don't want to have that kind of record in this kind of league, to say the least.
Yeah. All right, going into the top of the third with still the score of 0-0.
Let's see here what Munoz is warming up to pitch-wise. He asked us before the game to take his velocity in between innings, so we're going to see here at 86 again, and it looked like on an off-speed pitch, so we'll have to see that. Now, JC, would you ever consider pitching? I know that's not really your repertoire, but
I used to pitch a little bit when I was about like 10 to 12, but that just couldn't gain any speed and couldn't throw anything different than a strike. So
Yeah.
maybe I'd think about it for next year. But
Yeah, you never know. I'll have to come back with Charlie K, as we'll both be down at Wake Forest and visit, and maybe see you throw some heat for the softball team.
Maybe, you never know.
As now it's Burdick up to bat, and he's done pretty well. Well, actually, no 0 at batting average according to our stats in 9 games, so definitely can't be right unless he's been walked every time. So we'll see what happens here and what his approach is against a pretty fast Justin Munoz.
Strike on the outside corner, make the count 0-1.
It's a pretty beautiful pitch by Munoz. You can see just hit the outside corner right on top of the plate, and if he continues to perform like that, I think it will be a pretty good game.
Yeah, the Mustangs are definitely making some contact, so we'll see where that goes. Low and outside, ball 1. Count is now 1-1.
And it seems like Burdick, a senior, has he has 12 at-bats and no hits, surprisingly. That's definitely got to be wrong, but he has 1 RBI, so it seems like he's more of a pinch hitter kind of guy.
Probably just looking for contact.
Yeah, exactly, and interesting to see him in the lineup against our ace Munoz, so pretty good to see how this approach goes.
Look like a high fastball. Count's now 3-1.
Yeah, and you don't really see that by Munoz where he gives up 3 straight balls, but we'll see what happens here with his approach. Maybe throw some heat at 86 again, outside corner, but we'll see what happens here. Try to get Burdick to swing. 83 miles an hour, and that's a good swing and a miss for a 3-2 count.
See what the Suffield batter can do to battle out, but
and now a full count here. We'll see what Munoz delivers, and it looks like it's going to be foul. A pretty hard hit foul ball. That's about 100 feet back into the woods, approaching the softball field, but might have to readjust here after it looks like he was pretty late on that pitch.
how many batters has Munoz walked all year?
I believe it is close to 5. It's fairly low.
Great.
Yeah.
There's strike 3. I'm not sure what pitch it was, but it was a good pitch.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to see with the amount of velocity, and maybe only the off speeds will be able to tell, but by my guess it was a changeup. It's safe to forget to mention that Coach Dalvale does call the pitches to catcher Pat Costin, who delivers the message to Justin Munoz. So it's kind of a 3-person system, and it seems to be working here as that's 0-1 now. Now, I'm not sure with your team, do you guys have someone who calls pitches, or is it Abby Highland, the catcher, who takes it?
I believe Coach Peterson calls the pitches, but I think Abby sometimes makes the decision for herself.
Gotcha. And that's a 0-2 count, I believe, or an 0-1 count, and we'll see what happens here.
I believe it's 0-2.
0-2, yeah.
And ground ball to second base, Jack Nestler fields it and makes a clean throw to first baseman Pedro Leon.
That's a great job by Nestler just to get the easy out, a good defensive stop, which is something that they've been doing all year, this Mustangs defense, and it's just more of the same. And, you know, I think right now the Mustangs have been mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, I believe. Unfortunate to see, but we know that most of that comes from a lack of offense. This season, they've struggled to hit, only drawing 0.1 runs per first inning, and that's something you don't want to see at all. Don't want to hear, for that matter.
We got 2 outs. It was quick 2 outs, and next batter we have a ball 1.
And the number 9 spot with John Caron, class of 2024, who takes strike 1 here. Number 9, for a reason, looks like he's got some good speed with the stir-up high socks, something I'm a big fan of, and definitely probably a contact kind of guy, as that's an inside pitch. Now I believe 2-1 count is right?
Yes.
Awesome.
The inside ball.
2-1 count, and Munoz delivers a ground ball that's caught by Ciano in a good throw, or kind of wild throw, but Leon puts the tag on to Karen, and will now go back to the top of the order for Suffield Academy, and the Mustangs will try to kind of brighten up some offense or create something. I know, like JC, you guys were mentioning how you were tied from the 3rd to the 7th inning, but just couldn't string any runs together in the 7th. What do you feel about not having any runs through 4 innings against the team who's got not a lot of velocity, to say the least?
I actually thought their pitcher was just pretty decent for what we've seen. We've seen a lot of very slow pitching. So again, that's a huge adjustment, but I think we need to we need to steal a little bit more, and we need to put down bunts just to move runners along, because 1 run is obviously crucial to a game. Yeah,
and for the Mustangs here through 4 innings, only having 1 hit, I believe, or 2 hits, sorry, with Ciano and Diaz both bringing a double, having a stand-up double, and you want to see a little bit more, maybe playing some small ball. I know you were mentioning how you like to lay the bunt down every so often. You may have to give them some advice here. Maybe let Pedro Leon or Chris Diaz even know, hey, you can always drop one down just down the 3rd baseline.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. If it moves the base runner over, then it works.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, I wasn't expecting it yesterday, but their 3rd batter bunted, and I was completely not ready for it, because it's something you don't usually expect. You expect them to be a power hitter and move them along with the hit, but you can throw off the infield and the outfield.
Absolutely, and that was very similar to the by the way, it sounds to the Cheshire Academy baseball game on Monday. Their number 1, 2, and 3 hitters had some great speed and were willing to lay bunts down, something you don't really expect. As Herbert will face Leon coming up here, and we'll see what happens and how he'll approach this.
I feel like you don't see a ton of bunts in baseball.
No.
It's more common in softball, but
Absolutely.
That's why I would throw them off.
And I know, softball having sand all around the infield, that's a lot easier to lay something down. It doesn't stop.
A lot smaller too.
Exactly. So it's definitely more to your advantage, but we'll see what happens here. Herbert sets against Leon. It looks like Karen is going outside for the pitch, and just a great off-speed pitch to make it 0-1.
Count out 0-1. We'll see what Pedro can do. Low and outside, ball 1.
Yeah, pretty outside pitch there. Definitely looks like Herbert has to find the zone a little bit more. 2 pitches just outside, but we'll see what happens right now. A good curveball to get Leon, and I believe it's now 1-2 count.
1 and 2 counts are kind of difficult because you have to work back up, but if you get on 1, then it's going.
Absolutely, and we'll see what happens here as Leon just fouls it off, keeping the count at 1-2. Thank you. Sorry, drawing a blank there. I heard someone hit a box, so I was slightly confused as to what's going on down the 3rd baseline. Didn't want to make sure our cameraman Andre Whittemer was not injured in any way.
Be a strike there on Pedro Leon. That'll be 1 out. I have Chris Diaz or Jack Nessler.
Yeah, Jack Nessler.
Jack Nessler is now up.
I believe now we're at 9-1 and 2 if they can keep this inning alive. So we'll see how Nessler approaches this. Looks like the infield is playing the corners, meaning that the 3rd baseman and 1st baseman are kind of more on the grass. But
Jack Nessler fouls 1 off, kind of straight back. Means he's on it.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit late, but definitely got a good piece of it. And if he can just be a little bit earlier on that pitch, I think we'll definitely see him drive it at least to between the gap, hopefully, but we'll see what happens here.
Another foul ball to the right side.
And
counts now 0-2.
It looks like Nessler is trying to maybe pull the ball, but it seems like his timing is just off with the lack of velocity by Herbert, so it's kind of getting used to this.
Can hear the energy from the bench. they want it.
Yeah, definitely. And as you can see, a lot of help, and it makes it a much more exciting game. Sounds like Suffield has nothing in retaliation to the Mustangs' energy.
A low ball in the dirt.
Now,
So I think the count's now 3-2 with a high ball.
I believe so. It looks like Herbert would like a new ball here, so we'll see what happens, and maybe that will help him with his location a little bit more. But and as Nessler calls timeout, possibly readjusting, making sure that Herbert is thrown off a little bit. That's something that they were doing last game a lot. Now it's a 3-2 count. Excuse me about that. We slightly off, but we'll see how Nessler approaches this full count here. Wow. A little bit shocked on that strike 3 call, as Nessler was not able to get the bat off of his shoulders, and there are now 2 outs, bringing up the power of Chris Diaz against Herbert, who has seemed to handle this first time around of the order pretty well. So we'll see what happens.
Chris Diaz had a double in the first inning, so we'll see if we can do it again. Looks like a high off-speed pitch. Counts now.
Yeah, definitely. If you have a high off-speed pitch that's not dropping, it means that you're just not releasing it properly. And as you can tell, the Suffield coaches are not really making any adjustments, or just leaving it to Herbert to figure it out for himself, as that was another off-speed, high and outside for Diaz. It looks like maybe a little bit more fear to throw.
3-0 count. Chris is very high up in the count. Let's see what he can do. Pick his pitch.
Yeah, and similar situation as last time, except the base is empty, and looks like a good strike by Herbert. Last game against Cheshire, as I mentioned, he popped out on a 3-0 count. If you're a hitter, JC, what are you doing with a 3-0 count, 2 outs, and the bases loaded? Because I was talking with some of the players about that situation.
I'm probably looking for some solid contact, something that's going to get through the infield, but not going to pop out. Get on top of the ball at least, because you might score.
Absolutely.
Could be an error.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's something that Diaz was trying to do, but unfortunately just could not, as that is he's early on that one and fouls it off, and is now a full count after being up 3-1, seeing 2 called strikes, which were fairly good in the zone. So great job by Herbert to come back from 3-0 count where he had no off speeds dropping, and that is...
He drives one, foul. If that was in the line, it would have been gone.
Yeah, you can see there he was kind of early, but definitely looking for this slow off speed pitch, so great to see that Diaz has figured out what Herbert is dishing to the plate.
Still 3-2 count, 2 outs.
And he's walked. So now you have a runner on first, bringing up Cooper McGuire. So the inning stays alive off of Herbert's mistakes, with 2 outs now and an 0-0 count in the bottom of the 4th here, 0-0 score.
Hopefully they can string some hits together to move Diaz along and hopefully get the first run.
Yeah, that's a pickoff attempt by Herbert. Cooper McGuire, I believe, was it lined out or struck out last time up in this game? So he fouls that one off, and it's now a 0-1 count. Looks like McGuire is getting the sign from Coach Harlan, so we'll see what happens with after that, and knowing that he has given the signal to both the runner and the hitter as they pitch outside, and Karen tries throwing over a first, but no success there. Now, I'm not sure the rule in softball is it that you're allowed to steal right, but only at a certain point?
You're allowed to steal as soon as the pitcher releases the ball, where in baseball you can be off the bag when the pitcher is on the mound. If you're off the bag and the pitcher has the ball, then you get called out.
Ah, okay, so
Because
that's
it's considered leaving too early.
so yeah, definitely something different than baseball.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'd be able to adjust to that as a player, but that's definitely a hard adjustment here. So we see Diaz going now.
Hit by Cooper McGuire to the shortstop, backhand, and Cooper is safe at first.
And he's
Diaz
getting a
goes
run.
Third, an overthrow.
Great job by Diaz reading that play, getting a third base, and McGuire sliding in to first to try to stay safe, but the throw was wild anyway by White, by Kristen. So a pretty good job beating it out and keeping the inning alive for Pat Costin, who, like we had mentioned, has just casually the best on-base percentage, has been walked the most, drawing the most walks, I should say. And we'll see, maybe he might get another one here, given the way Herbert's throwing and the way the umpire's calling the game.
I totally agree.
It's a fairly solid pickoff move. You could see looked like McGuire was starting to take off, so it might have to signal to run in order to allow first base to be free. But McGuire also with a good amount of speed, so he could easily take off.
Costin, being a left-handed batter, kind of blocks the throw for the catcher to the first baseline, so he's probably not going to throw out Cooper or pick him off.
Yeah, that's a great insight there. I never noticed that, but definitely harder for Karen to throw someone off. Called strike there. Herbert seemed to get lucky, but McGuire is playing a little bit of mind games. I'm not sure if you're noticing over there, but starting to take off and then decides not to. Maybe trying to get Karen to throw to second so that Diaz can come home, possibly. And we've seen a lot of pickoff moves by Herbert. I know it's pretty tough to do, and it certainly takes away a lot of energy. So.
In baseball, I think the ball moves a lot faster than softball, so if there were a throw to, if someone were to try to pick off someone at first and there was a person on third, I think it'd be a lot easier to steal home. Yeah,
definitely, and we now see a 2-1 count, so 2 Pats advantage, and might see some improvement offensively here with runners on the corners.
High and outside, ball 3.
Yeah, and
3-1 count. Pat's very high up in the count. We'll see what he can do with it.
And with softball, you guys are more laid back on 3-1 counts, or how do you approach it?
I think it's probably the same situation. Pat fouls off an outside fastball. Got 2 outs, bottom of the 4th, 3-2 count. Hopefully Pat can get on something, hopefully driving Chris to score the first run.
Yeah, we'd love to see that as breaking this game possibly open. And you see there that Costin just got a little bit early on that and causing the foul ball. Yeah, it is a balk, as the umpire had mentioned, and the run will score, and McGuire will go to second, as you cannot do that in baseball, where if you try to throw and then decide not to, it's illegal, and both runners get to advance. So great job to score the first run for the Mustangs in a kind of odd situation. I don't think because of the idea of the pitch, of the runners not being able to go in softball until the pitcher releases the ball, you guys don't really have balks, do you? Or
I don't think once you start your motion, you can't stop.
Yeah. So not sure exactly the rules there. Might have to look those up later.
I think it counts as a ball.
Okay. So,
but I don't think anyone advances. Pat Costin, foul ball, very far to the right side.
Yeah, try to pull that there like Diaz does typically with his home runs, and break this game open even more now with a runner in scoring position, which is something that the Mustangs seem to get a lot of, but unfortunately failed to be able to drive in. So. And And a timeout called there as Costin's maybe trying to throw Herbert off even more and maybe have him try to pick off McGuire, hopefully draw a balk or something, anything to bring in more offense.
So in the center, second baseman comes out and catches it.
Yeah, it's
That will
pretty.
end the inning. We'll start at the top of the 5th with 1 run, Millbrook.
It's a pretty good job by Millbrook to score the 1 run, and just to see. I believe it was Rivera make that good catch, just kind of walk out there to second and make the play and end the inning. As we see here now, our new addition of our, we call it the Goodyear blimp, but is the drone overlooking the beautiful Millbrook baseball field, which still has yet to be named. Yeah, nice scenery there as we are in intermission for briefly. Yeah, real quick.
Someone is putting him back in here. Rayon, is that a gamer?
I'm now.
Welcome back, and we see after that nice drone footage, we come back to the top of the order with Rivera, and who was 0-for-1 so far, but we'll see what happens in this at-bat with Munoz still dishing some heat. During that break, we saw he was going 84 to 86 again, so
It's very
love
consistent.
To see, yeah, love to see that consistency. And a tough play. Ciano just cannot grab that, but it will be ruled, I believe, a single for Rivera, as now his younger brother, Gabriel Rivera, who leads the team in batting average, comes up to bat, and with a runner at first for one of the first times all game. So we'll see what happens here.
Picks him off, and he's safe. You can tell Munoz has a much faster throw than Herbert does, and that will definitely get Munoz somewhere with pickoffs.
Absolutely, and it's great to see that Munoz has some quick moves to get to first and second, as that ball is outside barely, and pretty good job so far. Munoz winding up, getting ready, facing Rivera as
again.
he picks it off, tries to pick it off again. But it looks like Rivera is not really going anywhere. He does have the...
He's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Back to the bag.
Yeah, has the velocity as well as the guard on the hand, as that one
The
is...
line drive right over to second baseman Jack Nessler and to the right fielder Zach Walsh.
Yeah, good job by Rivera. Good approach to get himself and his younger brother to second, and now you got runners in scoring position. JC, what do you think that Munoz is doing here? Just dishing more, or does he have a different approach now for first time with runners on first and second?
If I were him, I'd probably be a little bit more concerned with walking someone, which he's almost never does. But I'd be more. He seems very calm, but I don't think he'll change much because you can't stop someone from hitting.
Absolutely. That was a pretty generous strike call for Munoz, but we love to see that.
Looks like he's going 3. He's out at 1. Pick off by Pat Costin.
Yeah, pretty poor decision base running wise. And it looks like Costin was hesitant to throw back. A little bit of miscommunication, but they got the out anyway. Great job by Mike Ciano to highlight the mistake by Rivera and keep now making it 1 out with an 0-2 count and runner still on second base.
It's a very close call at second for the pickoff from Justin Munoz.
Yeah, and you could hear there that both Coach Harlan and Coach Delville kind of in shock. They thought that they got him with ease. And I think I have to say, I do agree. It's a great job by Munoz.
And he's going. It's a deep fly ball to center field. Chris Diaz runs back all the way to the fence, cut off, and the first run scores for Suffield.
Yeah, great job there by Tagine to get that pitch and drive it. First time we've seen that in a while off of Munoz and just off the wall, scoring the run of trying to advance by doing a hit and run there, and it worked to perfection for Suffield. We'll now have White come up to bat, the third baseman for Suffield Academy, and he hopefully will drive in a run with a runner in scoring position.
Munoz, strike one.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
Well,
count 0-1.
A little bit of a hack there by White, and safe to say that White was slightly fooled by that pitch from Munoz, as he is late on that one again.
Foul ball straight back. See if Munoz can throw him off. He counts now 0-2. Hopefully throw him some junk.
Yeah. Pretty aggressive time call there. I don't see many umpires do that. Do you? When you play, a lot of emphasis.
Definitely not.
Coming deep from the lungs and the throat, to say the least. Good throw back, unfortunately just a little late, and it's still an 0-2 count with 1 out. Game tied 1-1 and a runner on second in the top of the 5th as White is facing the ace, Justin Munoz.
Foul ball to the left side.
Yeah, he's yet again late on it, and you can see that White's just thrown off by velocity.
He's early on it.
Early, excuse me, thank you. Apologies about that. Yes, he early on that pitch, so a little bit thrown off by everything. Maybe try and pull it slightly, but
maybe. Ball outside. Count 1-2.
Yeah, and Munoz just trying to see if White would be fooled like the first pitch that he dealt in this at-bat, but to no avail. There's that another dramatic timeout call by the umpire, but he will be granted to White, maybe trying to reset or let the coach give the sign to Jean, and we'll see what happens here.
Strike 3. Watch strike out. Those are tough.
Yeah.
But bring the Mustangs 2 outs.
That's a great pitch by Munoz, to say the least. Just outside corner, and White throwing off, to say the least, as that will bring up Greco here. So
finally start to hear some energy from the Suffield bench. There's a high pop up to center field. Chris Diaz calls it. You can hear it from here. And he makes the catch.
Yeah, and excuse me on that. That last out prior to Greco was Tagine, actually. So a good job to face pretty much the heart of the order. And as we go into the bottom of the 5th, with the Mustangs tied against Suffield Academy 1-1, we'll see what happens here. It's a beautiful day for baseball, to say the least. It's been hard weather-wise. I know a couple of these games were canceled. I think a couple of yours were as well earlier in the season.
Yeah, we have one rescheduled for Monday against Holy Child.
Nice.
And then we play Canterbury Wednesday, and hopefully we beat St. Luke's and beat Holy Child, because that will hopefully put us in a position for playoffs. But Canterbury also has the same schedule. They play St. Luke's and Holy Child. in the next couple days, and then we play Canterbury on Wednesday. So.
Yeah, and how is Canterbury as a team? Have you faced them yet? Or?
We were supposed to have a scrimmage earlier this season, but a rain out, so we never got to play them. But at the All-Star game, their pitcher was there. She seemed a little wild, but had some decent speed, so we'll see where that takes us on Wednesday.
Yeah, and as a hitter, do you prefer more control or more velocity when you're facing someone?
Definitely more control. I want to know what to expect.
Yeah. Well, that's we'll see what happens here, and best of luck to you in this tough part of the schedule, and hopefully some good weather. So, as Mike Ciano comes up to bat against Herbert, who has still done fairly well besides the balk earlier last inning. So maybe we'll see a little bit of adjustment or just a continuation of the same, depending on how Ciano approaches this at bat and the result that comes out of it.
Strike right down the middle, seemed a little slower than the usual. Counts now 0-1.
Yeah, and that had some great break to it. From our angle, it looked like it was about to hit Ciano right in the hip, but ended up being a strike right down the middle. So great job by Herbert.
Ciano with some wheels, beats it out. Kind of a tough throw for the shortstop. Almost went through the gap, but good job by the shortstop blocking it.
Yeah, and
not letting it get through. Because if it did, Mike was wheeling second.
Yeah, almost shallow infield, or excuse me, shallow outfield double, but the shortstop managed to keep that in play and almost made a competitive throw. So, great job. As now Justin Munoz will come up to bat after dealing in the last inning with a pretty good strikeout, and they throw back. Let's see what happens.
You can see Mike kind of messing with the pitcher.
Yeah.
Munoz hits one to the left side, and great communication between the shortstop and the left fielder. And the shortstop makes the catch.
Yeah, that's just a great job by, Kristen, and to call off White there and prevent any mistakes from being made. And it's a typical job the infielder will get the ball if they have the ability to in that kind of situation. So love to see that between Tristan and White. Another throwback. They're really worried about Ciano there, huh, JC?
Mike's pretty quick. I'd be nervous too.
Yeah, definitely. And we now have his younger brother, Alex, up to bat, as he does end up stealing.
And the catcher drops the ball. Mike Ciano is safe at second. It's clean steal.
Yeah, and despite dropping the ball, it looked like Mike would have been safe whether it was a perfect throw or not.
Yeah.
A lot of base running aggressiveness so far from this Mustangs lineup, and it's great to see. Oh, wow, and it did hit him. So now the runners will be on first and second, as that's the second hitter that was...
Ciano brothers.
Yeah, ironically enough, both Ciano brothers hit by pitch here today. Runners on first and second, and bringing up Zach Walsh, who also does fairly well offensively. At one point in time was leading the team in RBIs prior to Chris Diaz's breakout home run session in the last 4 games. But it certainly...
Marcus has had a great season so far.
Yeah, absolutely, and so has Walsh, so we'll see what the approach here. And that's an infield single.
Mike Ciano's wheeling home. Left fielder makes the throw, but it looks like it's going to be short. Mike is safe. There's an overthrow, and Alex Ciano starts... Nope.
Wow.
Coach Harlan holds Alex Ciano at third. Keep the safe play. Now they're up 2-1.
Yeah.
Just to make Ciano.
You saw a lot of energy coming out of that bench. We see quickly the Mustangs kind of lit up and very excited. And as Walsh somehow turned a shallow ground ball that got through the hole into a double, an RBI double off of Ciano's wheels. Well, both Ciano's wheels and Walsh's own speed. So great job by the bottom part of this order to drive in a run and take the lead here in the bottom of the 5th. And you can see there that Herbert playing mind games, really had nothing doing and wanted nothing to do with Leon there. It's kind of interesting sequence that just occurred.
I have a low and outside ball. Counts now 0-1 with only 1 out, so hopefully the Mustangs get another rally going.
Yeah, 1-0 count, pretty good, and it seems like maybe Herbert wants a new ball or something, or? I'm not sure what happened there, but it seems like Herbert's got a new ball. Leon was looking for the sign, and Walsh and Ciano waiting on second and third with a 1-0 count and only 1 out. So a pretty good setup for the bottom part of this Mustang order, bringing up Nessler at bat next, and Herbert throws back to third. Hopefully he can get a pick off. Yeah,
it's almost like Herbert gives up as soon as he sees that the runner goes back to the bag. He just kind of half throws it, but
absolutely,
I feel like that's kind of risky. If you make a weak throw, then could set your third baseman up for failure.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's kind of how the balk occurred. It looked like he kind of wanted to throw and gave up part of the way, and that cost them, actually partially contributed to them now having the losing side of this game. So
Pedro fouls one off. Counts now 2-1.
Yeah, and good. It's kind of late swing there, but he managed to get a piece of it and keep the count at 2. Well, make the count 2-1 at this point in time. So Leon's mostly a pitcher, but today he is playing first base and hitting. So it's something you don't see too much, but
foul ball straight back. Pedro gets on one. It's probably going deep center field.
Yeah, and it seems like a good piece of hitting by Leon to make some solid contact on a 2-1 count, and it's now 2-2. Hoping he can just even out and allow the next pitch to be in play. Unfortunately, it was not, as it keeps the count 2-2. I think it's safe to say if Leon were to drive one here, it would really break open this game.
Yeah.
That's been oddly close for a Suffield team that's struggling with a fairly dominant Mustang team. You would expect a more large margin between the two, but it stayed pretty even. So props to both Herbert and Munoz and the Millbrook Mustangs offense and defense, as well as Suffield Academy. So great job so far.
Leon's definitely on it. He's fouled off about 3 or 4 now. Let's see where he goes with this next pitch.
It's a good pitch. Solid strikeout by Herbert. He probably his fastest pitch so far this game, close to 83 is based on my calculations. And now we'll bring up Jack Nessler, who's 9-1-2 if they can keep this inning alive with runners on second and third.
So bring the batting order all the way around, right?
Yes, absolutely. It would bring the batting order around in just 2 innings, something you would love to see, as that is driven. Could that be gone?
Fielder might have.
Oh, and it's caught.
It's a great attempt by Jack Nessler.
Yeah, and a great catch by White, as he barely manages to get a hold of it on the wall, backtracking, and just a great play. As the Mustangs yet again strand runners in scoring position. You see a lot of the same in these last few games. Unfortunate for such a great team. But yeah, and you can see the Suffield Academy bench alive and well now after a great catch by White. I originally thought it was out of here. I'm not sure what you were seeing, but
I thought it was going to hit the wall.
Yeah, fairly close.
It was definitely close, though.
Yeah, that 13-foot wall that was built this year has robbed a lot of home runs. Unfortunately, didn't do anything there, had no effect there. And maybe if Nessler had a little bit more power in that moment, he would have gotten it. But great job contact-wise.
Yeah. It's also a huge difference between the right side and the left side. 20 feet makes a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that high fence also makes a huge difference. So it almost might be easier to hit it far further than over that fence.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you really got to jack one if it's going over that fence.
Yeah, and we saw a couple games ago, Costin was robbed of home run, hitting it.
It hit the top of the wall.
Yeah, I
Super
believe
close.
290 feet away and 12 and a half feet high. So just missed it, but we'll see what happens here now with at bat. Coming up is Rivera, the older Rivera. The older Rivera.
Benjamin White.
Excuse me, Benjamin White. I'm not sure what I'm reading. Thank you. And I'll bring 6, 7, and 8. Sorry about that. Just kind of slightly disheveled as far as coming out of an AP Spanish exam. That those are always very fun to deal with. You're a freshman, so you haven't had one of those, JC, but always difficult.
It's also tough not to have Charlie K here. He's very good at commentating.
Charlie K is one of the experts, but so far so good. It's first game. How are you feeling now? 6 innings into this.
Pretty good. It's gotten a little bit easier since the game's gone on.
Yeah.
A nice line drive into the left field. Benjamin White rounds first, but does not go second.
Yeah, and just a good piece of hitting by White. And Ciano yet again unable to reach it. Just a little bit too small size-wise, but does a good job to deke the runner of White. And now we will see the number 7 hitter Burdick, who is the designated hitter today, as Herbert is not swinging the bat this afternoon.
However, Herbert does have a pretty good batting average of about 261.
Yeah, and that's interesting to see. When you have a pitcher's got a 261 average through 13 games, you would expect him to maybe be hitting, a good Shohei Ohtani two-way player. But today, I guess they decided to save him. I believe an 0-2 count now with Burdick kind of taking a more laid-back approach, hoping, and it looks like he's trying to
bunt. For a
bunt.
bunt and a steal to second. Pat Costa makes a good throw, and he is called out a second.
That's a great unexpected double play there with the strikeout off of the bunt attempt and the hit and run. Well, it was a hit and run attempt that didn't work.
I don't think it was.
Was it? No, I'm sorry. Thank you. So I saw an 0-2 count. I believe it's now 0-2?
Now it's 0-2.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. There's the strikeout. So nearly a double play.
Very close.
But that's still 2 outs either way. So bring up
outs to the top of the 6th. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm bringing up the number 8 hitter Jewel, who is the first baseman and seems like a pretty sizable one. You always want a good-sized first baseman to block the wild throws if needed, and Jewel is certainly not short of that as the number 8 hitter. A great
good speed there.
Yeah, great velocity. Kind of weird location to be a strike, but we'll take it either way for the Mustang lineup. There's a strike, so now 0-2 counts on Jewel as the number 9 hitter Karen waits on deck, and maybe we'll see him come up to bat depending on the situation. 2 outs, 0-2 count, top of 6, 2-1 Millbrook, and it is strike 3 called, and that will end the 6th inning. That will go into the bottom of the 6th inning. Great job by Munoz. He's been lights out today, wouldn't you say, JC?
Yeah, he's been very consistent, good speed, and very good today.
Yeah, very great job so far, and you love to see that. Definitely some nice adjustments offensively and defensively by this Mustangs lineup. They had a couple errors last game against Cheshire, which is a rarity here, and I think Coach Harlan and Coach Delville were not too happy with that. But they've turned it around quickly in only a matter of 1 day, really improving their play here. And now we're seeing a couple of Suffield guys getting ready to go to a bullpen. It will look like the Gamer brothers, who are going down to get ready to pitch, hopefully keeping this game alive. So a good job and we'll see what time, if they come in or when they come in for that matter. as Herbert's been pretty good. If I'm a coach, I don't know if I'm taking him out. JC, what are you thinking?
The Mustangs have definitely started to make a lot of contact, so maybe they're thinking to change it up a little bit. He's definitely throwing pretty well, but I might change it up as well.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
Especially going into the 7th inning, next inning.
Yeah, bottom of the 6th inning with heart of the lineup, to say the least, 1, 2, and 3. And we'll see how we do here, how the Mustangs will do here with Herbert, who seems pretty tired, but I personally think doing pretty well. You were saying you might want to pull him now, which I agree, and so we'll see what happens now.
Hopefully the Mustangs can break the floodgates open a little bit and score a couple runs here.
Absolutely. You'd love to see that, maybe even getting 2+ with the 1, 2, and 3 hitters. Unfortunately, Diaz has no one on base to create any multiple home runs, but a solo shot would be pretty good either way, based on his trajectory.
Any home run is good.
Yeah.
It'll build a little bit of a cushion for the 7th inning.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a fairly fast-paced game. Against Canterbury, it lasted nearly 2.5 hours, and here we're only at 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're not complaining in either way. All baseball is good baseball, but definitely changing pace and different dynamic.
Diaz gets someone, but it goes foul and almost into the bullpen.
Yeah, and it's kind of bullpen's in a weird spot there. He has almost hit some players, has almost hit Gamer there, and you know, it's a pretty interesting location.
Yeah, strike 2 for Diaz, 0-2 on the count.
Yeah, right down the middle. That was maybe something that Diaz should have driven, but he decided to lay back on it and sit back and maybe see the next pitch and keep it alive. We'll see what happens here.
He fouls it off again to the left side.
And that's great contact by Diaz. Unfortunately, just a little bit late as he fouls it off to the left side of the field, and maybe adjusting a little bit, shortening up with an 0-2 count and seeing if he can drive something.
It's also Diaz's 3rd at bat, and you can see at each at bat, all of the pitches have been mostly outside.
Yeah.
So anything that's going to the left side is probably because it's left. And he hits one to the left side again, foul ball. The left fielder
nope, just
did not
misses
make the
it.
catch.
Yeah, almost made it, but
I couldn't see.
Yeah, it was barely overran it slightly, but you know, good track by White out there.
Gives Diaz another life.
Yeah, exactly, and good track by White out there in left field. Yeah, potentially the cord that is currently serving our Wi-Fi that's out there that may have interfered with him, but doing a good job here. And Diaz fouling it off again. I think that's the 5th straight foul. To
get it back, especially for a leadoff batter, the goal is just to get them to throw you a bunch of pitches and to hopefully make some contact and get on base.
Absolutely. That's a great job by Diaz, and he's really done well here. Another ball, so
it was
he's
a close one.
Yeah, great
I don't know
discipline.
If I would have watched, but it was a very good hold.
Yeah, amazing discipline to say the least. I played Little League in 1 year of high school baseball, and I can tell you, I'm guaranteeing swinging at that if I'm in Diaz's spot. And it's another foul ball, so that is 8 straight pitches and still I believe it's now a 2-2 count at this moment in time. So. Finally,
a great at bat.
A great at bat, and after saying that it was a fast-paced game, a lot of fouls and an error.
Right side, an error, no one covering the bag at first, and Chris Diaz is safe at first.
Yeah, if you're Jewel, you got to make that play. 2-1 game with a I believe a 9-pitch out at bat, but a great job by Diaz to keep this drive himself to first and keep this going. So
if Cooper McGuire up to bat, this is also his 3rd at bat. We'll see what he can do.
We're going.
Diaz starts to go. It's pretty quick, also has some wheels similar to Mike Ciano.
Yeah.
And Cooper McGuire fouls one off.
Yeah, this entire lineup has a lot of speed throughout, so we love to see that, as McGuire just a little bit late there, fouling off right behind him, but great piece of contact, and that's something he's pretty dominant at. He's a great contact hitter, and we've seen that all season where he's gotten the hits when he needed to. Today he's struggling slightly. That is a balk, the second one of the game. And it's
again
now
where he gives up and he just doesn't throw, and it's into an automatic balk.
And that's something that you really got to adjust, you know, as a senior. And
if you're going to commit to something, you just have to do it. It's like check swinging. Like, you just have to swing if you're going to go for it.
Absolutely. If you're a senior,
if you're halfway there, just go.
Yeah. And if you're at this level and playing for, I'm assuming 4 years, you should have that figured out. And to have 2 in one game is a little bit more of a disappointment.
Cooper McGuire fouls one off. Make the count. 0-2?
Yes, 0-2. Another foul by McGuire. This time, not really as much contact, or not nearly as much contact, but still manages to get a piece of it. Oh, and then looks. Wow, it's a little bit of a bobble there as that pitch was right back to Herbert. But it advances Diaz to third base, bringing up Pat Costin, and it's more, guess you could score that as a sacrifice by McGuire. A great job to get the runner to third now, so love to see that. Now, Pat Costin, obviously a great hitter. You think he can drive in Diaz here in this situation?
I think he could. In softball, you might pull a squeeze here. I don't know if they would do that in baseball, but you got strike one on Pat Costin, outside fastball.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, yeah, and Costin ended up going 4 for 4 last game, so I think it's definitely safe to say that he has the green light. Costin's a more slower guy, so I don't know if they'll pull off the squeeze here. Actually, I think one of the slowest guys in this lineup, even though he still has some speed, so more seeing some drive or good contact here, but you can see the infield's playing in, anticipating the squeeze.
Catcher bobbles the ball a little bit. It'll be 2-1.
Yeah, that's a good block by Karen. You know, just despite his lack of size, being a smaller player, he still manages to keep the ball in front of him throughout this game, and we see him setting up outside corner. And that's a called strike.
Ball right down the middle. Now the count's 2-2 with 1 out, and Chris Diaz in scoring position on third.
Yeah, and Costin's hoping to get something down the middle. You don't want to lose this battle at 2-2, and he does drive something.
One right into the gap between center and right. Chris Diaz takes a light jog all the way to home plate.
Yeah, a little bit of kind of
be a stand-up double for Pat Costin.
Yeah, and that's a great job by Costin. Like we had mentioned, drove it right to the gap with a good double. And you can see that Diaz playing a little bit of a mind game against Herbert and Suffield Academy, taking a very slow stroll to home, knowing that he was going to be safe either way. So now bringing up Mike Ciano with 1 out, bottom of the 6th, 3-1 game for the Mustangs, and Costin on second. So Mike's wheels and Costin's great hitting might even break this game open even more.
Pat takes a light jog to third. Catcher bobbles the ball, and it's pass ball.
Yeah, and you know,
ball 1 for Mike Ciano.
Another kind of pitch that you can see the Suffield Academy is just almost like drained, to say the least. They have no energy as far as trying to recuperate or block any balls, and half throwing to second or third, and with the 2 box, it's almost like they've given up hope as
Ciano
that ball is
with the perfect
driven.
line drive. Gives him a single, and Pat Costin also takes a light jog to home plate.
Promptly taking a nice stroll down the third baseline to drive in another run.
Score is now 4-1 Millbrook, bottom of the 6th.
This is the type of game that
only 1 out.
Yeah, this is the type of game.
Might be opening.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, type of game that we want to see by Millbrook's baseball, and you hope that this can continue. Maybe they get more than 8 runs in this inning. I believe 8 is the rule for the Mercy. I'm not sure at this point in time. It's different every inning, but we love to see this offense break out in a big way and do a great job.
You See a pickoff by Herbert, and he finally throws the ball hard.
yeah, finally decides to lay it over to first without getting the balk. So good adjustment by Herbert, and maybe preventing any more damage to be done.
Maxiano steals, but there's foul ball by Munoz to the left side, moving the count to 1-1.
Yeah, and Munoz was early there. Unfortunately, just got on top of it to cause a ground ball foul. But if he adjusts slightly at the plate, hits it a little bit more square, that's going to bring in Ciano easily and make this an even bigger lead. It's now 2-1 count.
A low ball.
Yeah, and that's something you love to see. Yeah, another ball in the dirt, and another kind of wild pitch. It seems like Herbert's getting tired, to say the least.
Karen's did a pretty good job of blocking the balls, too. And shortstop misses the ball, and Maxiano is safe again at second.
Yeah, that's
the third steal?
Yeah, I believe that is the third steal for Ciano.
2 for 3. Got called out on one.
Yeah, I believe so.
2 for 3. It's pretty good.
That's just another mistake by the Suffield defense that allowed Ciano to steal easily. The last time up was not being able to change the ball from being in the glove to the hand for Karen, and that time just a small short hop that the shortstop could not collect. Another wild pitch, and that will put Ciano on third. So you can see this really breaking open, and we're tearing it apart now at this point in time. Herbert looking frustrated more than ever, and you still see no activity by the Suffield bench. That's kind of, you were mentioning to me that your softball team only has really Danny Luck, who is the ace and pretty much the only pitcher, but you guys would at least have maybe someone warming up or showing some kind of change, but at least, and for Suffield.
I think the coach is going to go out right now.
Yeah.
And call time.
Finally,
recuperate.
Looks like
he just walked Justin Munoz, got runners on first and third, puts him in a difficult situation.
Yeah, and not sure if we're seeing a change here or not. We'll see what happens. And it looks like we will see a change as coach grabs the ball and Herbert takes a slow trot back to the bench with Gamer coming up to pitch, specifically Joshua Gamer, who is, Charles Gamer, who is coming up to pitch. His brother Joshua also being on the bench. They're both twins from Holbrook, Massachusetts, and we saw them both warming up, so it's interesting to see which Gamer brother they went with, and we'll see what he delivers pitch-wise. So we're hearing now, based on a conversation between the umpire and the Suffield Academy coach, that Reese Judson, a great hockey player, will be pitch running for Justin Munoz, and next inning, Justin Munoz will return to, I presumably, pitch some more and close this game out after the Suffield gave up 2 runs in this inning. So now
Judson is also pretty quick.
Yes,
he's a good pinch runner.
Yeah,
smart on the bases as well.
Judson has been pinch run in multiple games this season. I believe he has 3 steals. A couple of games he was not prepared to steal at that moment in time. Wasn't too warm. And was caught out, but we'll see what happens here. You expect Coach Harlan to call a steal or maybe even a hit and run with Ciano at bat against Gamer, and we'll see what happens here. And it looks like Gamer might be a submarine or a sidearm pitcher. Did I just see there?
I wasn't paying attention, to be honest.
Let's see at this warm-up pitch.
Yeah, it's definitely sidearm, and it looks decently faster.
Yeah, seems like the release is more kind of at the shoulder size, but I don't know if it's considered completely sidearm. It's very close, though.
He comes down lower than Herbert did.
Yeah.
It's a lot less over the shoulder.
His release point is in a different area, and that can cause different types of pitches. You see that maybe Gamer, whoa, watch out there. Gamer going for more velocity than Herbert did. So you might see a completely different approach by this Mustangs lineup in the dwindling part of this game.
Alexiano up to bat. It's also another adjustment after Herbert, so we'll have to see what he does.
Yeah, and
You can hear Mike cheering on his younger brother from third. It's pretty cool.
see how Gamer delivers here. Setting up, not looking over. Oh, way at the head, and Judson steals easily. That's great approach by Judson, and they were trying to go for the sacrifice, but that works too. I believe it's now a 1-0 count, or a 0-1 count, as I don't think Ciano pulled back in time. Looks like Karen is setting up outside, and Ciano now has the green light as Judson is in the place where Coach Harlan wanted him to be. I know, JC, do you guys ever try to do that kind of squeeze situation where maybe sacrifice bunt or getting the runner onto second? What's the idea?
We attempted it yesterday, came clean with the run and tied the game in the fourth inning, but we just didn't score after that. Alexiano with a pop-up to center. Hopefully Mike can tag up. It drops in. Judson stops at third. Mike Ciano scores, and Alexiano has a single at first.
Yeah, good RBI single by Ciano, making it 5-1, closing this game out even more, still with one out. That's a great job by Ciano to put runners on first and third now, and we'll have to see that, as Judson, with his speed and the steal, did a great job to get in scoring position, leading Zach Walsh, well, now having Zach Walsh at bat, and hopefully he does a good job here. Still one out, which is pretty amazing to see. That's the longest inning by far for this Mustang lineup, longest part of the game, and that's a great job by them to keep it going. Another wild pitch by Gamer.
Alexiano takes a big lead. Wasn't sure if he was going to steal or not. But
Well, with one out, I would assume you have to. Ciano's got the wheels. You got Judson on third. You don't want to cause a double play and end the inning. You got to keep scoring and end it the season, or end this part of the season in a big way.
tries to pick off Mike. Gets the out at second.
And just another kind of poor base running by the Mustangs, and unfortunate to see, but great job by Rivera and Karen to get the second out of the game, or of the inning, excuse me, and hopefully end this bleeding part of this game. And we might see Walsh drive home a run, or it could be the end of a run
pitch
for them.
And be ball 2.
Yeah, 2-0 count for Walsh. That's something you love to see. And Walsh is not going to probably look for a good pitch before swinging.
Strike 1 right down the middle.
Yeah, and good strike call by the umpire. And now Walsh has seen it, so he might try to readjust and hopefully bring in Judson, with now runners only on third, as Ciano was tagged out in a pickle. 2-2 count now, and Walsh, I think, has to readjust here. You know, I know, JC, you've had a couple of these at-bats where you were up 3-1 or 2-1 and ended up having to change it up with a couple fouls. What are you doing here in this situation?
With the 3-1.
2-2 count.
2-2 count. 2-2 count. Obviously have 2 strikes, probably just looking for some contact. Nothing crazy. Adjust your swing a little bit. You're not swinging for the fences anymore.
Yeah.
Again, just looking for contact.
Yeah, and
Hopefully, hoping to get it just over the infield into the outfield.
great job by Walsh to keep this at-bat alive after being up 2-0, taking 2 strikes and fouling off a couple here. So pretty good at-bat by Walsh, and hoping to extend this inning. And a ball outside, 3-2 count now. And Judson was a little bit kind of out of it in a sense. They were considering throwing back to third and trying to tag Judson out, but he stays safe and plays the safer game here as Walsh sets up with the 3-2 and drives it, and that's an error, and it'll bring in another run. Will it get him out? And Walsh is safe with his speeds. Yeah. 6-1 now.
Judson make the score 6-1 in the bottom of the 6th. It's a very long inning.
Yeah.
Got Pedro Leon up again.
And you can see the Mustangs in the bench are hyped up, especially Mike Ciano, chirping a little bit to Suffield.
He always has so much energy.
Yeah, and you gotta love that energy, especially when you have such a big lead after keeping a close game and breaking it open. So Leon up now and hopefully extending this inning. As that ball is outside, almost hit Leon. Although Leon likes to crowd the plate. I know that's something that a lot of pitchers do, a lot of hitters do strategically, maybe to try to get the hit by pitch without illegally stepping into it, or maybe even scare off the
bobbles
runner
it.
more.
Zach Walsh wheels to second. You can hear the second baseman calling it off.
Yeah, nothing Karen could do about that. Just gotta let Walsh take his free base, try to readjust and get this final out with. That's been really, really tough for this Suffield team. Millbrook will actually face Suffield again on Saturday, but not before facing St. Luke's on Friday. So a 4-game week for the Mustangs.
Pedro Leon hits a nice hit to center field. It drops in, and Zach Walsh is wheeling home. And the pitcher decides to make the cut.
Oh my
Pedro
goodness.
Leon is safe at second.
So driving in Walsh to make it 7-1, having the cutoff and missing the tag on Leon at second. That could have ended the inning, but instead you now have to face Jack Nessler. That's really tough to see. At that point you have to kind of wonder what's happening with this Suffield team, and maybe it makes you think as to why they are 4-8 in this current position, because the relief pitching is clearly not as strong as we anticipated, and the defense is breaking down at this point in time after being fairly solid all game.
Another low pitch by the pitcher makes the count
1-0, yeah. And Nessler, knowing what he needs to do here, keep it alive, bring more energy to this game. You'd love to see even more runs scored on a team that struggles offensively. Anything will help at this point in time for the Mustangs team, as they'll hopefully face better competition next week with Wilbraham and Munson, and Suffield and St. Luke's are the other two teams left on the schedule.
Jack Nessler swings at a fastball down the middle. Just believe gets over it a little bit.
Yeah.
And the count is now 1-1.
And a little late got over, on top of it. Unfortunately, cannot make contact with that pitch. Now he finally does.
The third baseman makes the throw low in the dirt, but first baseman gets a good pick.
Yeah, finally stops the bleeding. And the end to this inning, as we'll now go to the top of the 7th, where hopefully Justin Munoz can finish it off and get the big W for this Suffield lineup, or for this Mustangs lineup. So we'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Top of the 7th, 7-1 game for the Mustangs. And hopefully they're going to close this one out. JC, it's been a pleasure to watch this one. I know you were just saying that you've enjoyed it pretty good amount, and we hope to see you back at it on Friday with Charlie K and I. But what are your thoughts on this game so far?
It was a really tight and close game up until that last inning. And then the floodgates opened and they scored, what, 6 runs?
I believe it was 4 or 5, I believe.
4 or 5 runs.
First time in a while we've seen that
huge
from the Mustangs, yeah.
They went through the batting order almost twice.
Yep.
Chris Diaz is coming up again after Jack Nessler.
And that's
got Munoz on the mound again.
Yeah, with a 7-1 game, and it is currently an 0-2 count for Munoz against, I believe, Karen. Yes, Karen. So it will be 9-1-2, and that's to hopefully finish off this game. We'll see what happens.
Got a 1-2 count here. See what Munoz can do.
Good strike 3.
Strike 3, 1 out.
That's
the inning. It's a good start to the inning.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great job by Munoz, and we're slowly coming to a close here on this beautiful Wednesday evening. Now that will bring up Rivera, the number 1 hitter.
Munoz does a strike. Fouled off by the batter, and now the count is 0-1.
Yeah, and that's a late contact by Rivera, and as number 1 hitter, you don't want to see that. You gotta put something into play in this situation. Any little hit helps this team. As you can see, Munoz nearly he did overthrow that pitch with the dust coming up from Costin's glove. And you know that he's put 115% effort into that one pitch to try to end the game. Great strike 2 there by Munoz, and Rivera now behind an account, slowly coming to end with his with his brother Gabriel Rivera coming up on deck here.
Counts now 2-2 with a close ball.
Yeah.
It was very close to the strike zone. Should have been strike 3, but
yeah, and
didn't like it.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not you and I umping today, but we saw Coach Dalvell was slightly discouraged with that ball call. Thought it was a very good pitch, and now Munoz has to work a little bit more on a 2-2 count.
Now it's 3-2. The ball outside.
3-2, yeah, 3-2 count with that ball outside and going from 0-2 to 3-2, a big adjustment for Munoz. Popped up
To left field. You can see
McGuire barely makes the catch. Great run, and great job by McGuire, to say the least. Had the sun in his eyes and everything. Tough play, and he did it one-handed, falling down. So that's a great job by McGuire. He's been very well. He did very well defensively last game and this game as well. Great improvement. Early in the season was struggling a little bit. Made 6 errors, I believe, down in Florida spring training as a third baseman, but found a new position, and it seems like his new home where his offense and defense can come alive.
McGuire makes another catch to end the game, 7-1. That's Millbrook Mustangs beat Suffield 7-1 in the top of the 7th.
That's a great job by the Mustangs coming back from 2 straight losses. You love to see that, and that's awesome by McGuire making the last 2 outs of the game. So that's pretty much it for us here today. Thank you so much for listening in. We'll hopefully have Charlie K back on the call on Friday, as he's currently at a golf tournament. But yeah, we'll see you all against St. Luke's at 4 p.m. Friday here at Millbrook School, where the Mustangs hope to get the 2nd straight win in a row. For now, signing off, Andre Hasma and JC Downs. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Sorry about that, folks. We apparently miscounted here. That's at the Millbrook School. That's clearly my bad why I'm in intro to calculus, but it's now apparently the bottom of the 6th inning. So I was 1 inning off, but we have Chris Diaz back at it. So apologies for those who left and saw that it was still going on.
Chris Diaz hits one to the left side. Shortstop comes all the way out and calls it and makes a one-handed catch and falls. It was a risky catch. I might have just left the left fielder to the catch.
Yeah, that's
left fielder should have called him off because it's a safer play. You're running in.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely, if you're the left fielder, if you're white, you're calling that off.
Yeah, you definitely should call him off.
Yeah, but now we have Cooper McGuire up for the bottom of the 6th inning for clarification. Again, apologies about that mishap, but yeah, and we'll see what happens here.
McGuire fouls that one off, straight back. Make the count 0-1.
And now an 0-1 count in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Cooper McGuire takes ball 1, so 1-1 count, and pretty good job by McGuire to lay off that not so tempting pitch. Yeah, it's tough to be able to understand what inning it is with no scoreboard. Yeah, Cooper McGuire takes his base after Rivera nails him right in the leg. But as I was saying, it's hard to understand what inning it is or what score it is with the temporary scoreboard being down the third baseline just where I can't see it. So that's always lovely to see. And here I'm sure Charlie K will be giving me a little bit of talking to tonight, saying I should have been more, quote, on my game, as he likes to say. So, yeah, but we'll see what happens here in the bottom of the 6th with Cooper McGuire on first base.
This is the top half of the batting lineup's first time seeing this new pitcher. So we'll see how they make an adjustment.
Yeah, Rivera, after hitting the McGuire.
Pat Costin hits a low one, another error by the first baseman, and Pat Costin makes it safely to first. McGuire also safe at second base.
Oh, that's a great job by Costin.
Second error today by the first baseman right through his legs.
Yeah.
Off his glove.
Another error by Jewell, and I think they need to practice more defensive infield plays. I believe that's the 4th error we've seen so far. So tough kind of game for Suffield Academy. And you wish for more better defensive stops than that. So it brings up Mike Ciano here, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully he can drive in another run, open this game up even more.
It's a low pitch in the dirt once again.
Yeah, another
ball 1.
Another wild pitch by Rivera, and you have to think that his pitching day is coming to a close with the way he's handled this lineup so far, really breaking it, causing this game to break open last inning, and now we see that he hits a pitcher or hit a hitter of Cooper McGuire and hasn't really adjusted since, because it was part of an error against Costin, and now has Ciano on a 1-1 count, and with runners in first and second.
That's strike 2 on Mike Ciano, same pitch as last time.
Yeah.
Really, Mike doesn't like that one, but if it comes again, he's gonna have to swing.
Yeah, that's a good fastball by Rivera. Gamer attacking Ciano and trying to close off this part of the game, and maybe even having a little bit of a comeback in the 7th, top of 7th. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, pick off to first. Pat Costin with his hands in the air.
Yeah,
Not sure why, probably trying to block the ball, but
saw Costin was giving a little shove to Jewell, maybe playing a little bit of a game as it's such a large lead at this point in time. Anything to have a little bit of fun in the rules of the game. So a good hit.
Same pitch that he was called for 2 strikes before. Mike Ciano gets on top of it, hits a line drive, and Cooper McGuire will score at home.
Scores with ease, and it's now 8-1. That's a great job by McGuire scoring from second, putting Costin on second and Ciano on first. Although with that kind of play, if Costin had a little bit more speed, I think Ciano could easily be on second at this point in time. I didn't see him rounding. I was more focused on McGuire, but great job by Ciano and great piece of hitting off of that same pitch as you had mentioned from Gamer. So
you can see after Justin Munoz, Gavin Ernick has been put in the lineup, being subbed in.
Yeah, pinch hitting, I believe that is for Pedro Leon. Maybe trying to give Ernick a little bit, some more batting. Yes, Alexiano, thank you, I'm sorry. With Alexiano, maybe giving Ernick a little bit more of an at-bats as he was benched these last two. This is his second game on the bench, as Saturday he played right field and at-bat. At the plate, he, I believe, went 1 for 3, so a little bit more of a mediocre performance, maybe trying to give Ernick the days off, and now we'll see him come back into play here after Munoz, who takes a 2-1 pitch that's in the dirt, and it allows both runners to advance.
You can see that Gamer doesn't have a lot of consistency with his pitches. He has some good speed, but not a lot of consistency. A lot of balls in the dirt and some high and wild.
It's very inconsistent by Gamer and just some kind of poor outing, to say the least. You want it to be over almost, so.
Some rope down the left field line, but it's fouled by Munoz.
And Munoz just trying to pull it down the third baseline, opening this up even more at this point in time, looking for anything to drive into the gap and cause this, hopefully this game to end, as I believe it's up by 10 or more runs at a certain point. The game will end after this inning, so we'll see what happens here.
Justin Munoz up in the count, 3-1. See what he can do here. Hopefully drive in Mike and Pat.
Yeah, and takes ball 4. Now loads the bases with Gavin Ernick coming up to bat. First time since Canterbury on Saturday. We'll see what happens in this situation and how we will improve as we see Suffield's coach coming out yet again, maybe pulling out Gamer. And it looks like it will be Jewel who takes the pitching glove. So now from defensive errors to pitching, I will be curious to see this adjustment by Jewel and to see how he approaches this lineup with Gavin Ernick coming in for the first time with Zach Walsh right behind him. And that will be definitely a big change for Jewel. And we'll see about, I believe, 7 or 8 pitches from him. Charlie K and I were talking a couple days ago, and we both agreed that having to sit and watch the warm-up pitches in between innings is one of the worst things that you can have during a baseball game. JC, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it's definitely kind of painful and slow, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely slows the game down, but just a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, absolutely. But when there's so much entertainment, it's hard to point out the negatives. But we both felt that that was one of them. So. Oh, and a little bit of a wild throw there, more of the same from Suffield Academy. So it's pretty clear that pitching-wise, it's not their strong suit. Offensively today, they've been rather quiet. Millbrook Mustangs, particularly Justin Munoz, has managed to keep Rivera from not getting a hit, both Riveras for that matter, and the other half of the top of the order has been rather quiet as well, only driving in 1-1 this game. And it seems now that Jewel is throwing, 70s or high 70s and low 80s, but control is way out of there. So velocity down, control down, not, like I said earlier, not a great combination at all. So. Oh yeah, and we'd like to thank everyone here today who's helped us film, as this was a very last-minute situation. We weren't expecting to be here calling the game today, but Owen Owen Kushner, as well as Dan Cohen, our producer, Andre Whittemer as one cameraman, Brian another, and Cosmas Brandenburg out in center field. So great crew. Thank you for coming so last minute, and sorry about the confusion of an early game ending, but we have not had that now. It's a 1-0 count with, it looks like they have brought in Tyler Spokane to hit. So his first plate appearance in a long time, and he takes ball 2 here. Spokane is also a hockey player, actually our hockey goalie. He is dominant when it comes to stopping pucks, and when it comes to hitting balls and making defensive plays here in the baseball field, he does a pretty good job as well.
That'll be strike 1, fastball hard down the middle, and the count will be now 2-1.
And that's, you can see Jewel adjusting and has made a great adjustment there to, with some great velocity and control, put it right where he needed to really come out and attack. And unfortunately, that very next pitch, he was unable to do the same. But good placement by Jewel, and we will see how Spokane will adjust with a 3-1 count.
Hey, that'll be a walk all the way around the bases. Pat Costin will score, and everyone will advance. Pat Costin takes his time walking all the way to home.
Yeah, as he should. It puts a stab inside of the heart and really causes even more bleeding, something that the Mustangs have been trying to achieve for the last 3 games now with 3 straight losses. So it's great to see the Mustang lineup doing so well against a team that was pretty competitive up until the 6th inning. And a nice strike call there by the umpire. It's now an 0-1 count to Zach Walsh. Base is still loaded, so.
Zach Walsh has had a pretty good day at the plate. And that'll be strike 1. Pretty
Strike
inside
2.
if you ask me. Oh, strike 2.
Yes.
Sorry, strike 2. But pretty inside if you ask me.
Yeah, and that was kind of almost hit Walsh's knee, but the umpire still granted a strike, as we now see Karen going outside,
3.
and a great strike out by Jewel, the first one of his outing today, as now Pedro Leon will come up to bat, the number 8 hitter, hoping to break it up even more with 2 outs, bases loaded, 9-1 game here in the bottom of the 6th.
There's also been a lot of watch strikeouts today, which isn't always good.
Yeah,
Mike
absolutely.
Ciano wheels home and is out at home.
Yeah, so Mike Ciano certainly not happy with that call, but with a 9-1 lead, you have to give it to them at that point in time. Obviously,
If you asked me, I would have called him safe.
Yeah, I would have as well, but now going into the top of the 7th, 9-1 game, and you hope that the Mustangs can finish it off, unlike I had thought before. So yeah, we'll see what happens here. And Munoz will come back on the mound, closing off his outstanding performance, only giving up 1 run, and I believe he did not have a walk all game. Pretty impressive, to say the least. His pitch count has been down, his velocity has been up, and his control is nearly perfect, as we see the beautiful Millbrook baseball field from our aerial view of the Goodyear blimp, or Goodyear drone for that matter. And it was based on the sounds of the communication between Coach Harlan and the umpire. There's been a couple of changes. I believe Gavin Ernecht has come in for Cooper McGuire, and Zach Walsh has moved to left field. So a couple of changes, but nothing too substantial here in the top of the 7th, just trying to give everyone some runs. And actually, it looks like Cooper McGuire has been moved to 3rd base. So Alex Ciano has been the person who has been taken out of this game. So breaking up the brick wall of the knapsack, as I like to call it. So
Kristen up with around 217 batting average, which is also pretty good, but with Munoz's speed and consistency, we'll see if he can get on top of one.
Yeah, Hayden Kristen has done fairly well this season. 8 games played, .217 batting average, as you had mentioned, JC, and but he's been shut down pretty consistently today.
Yeah,
so
Munoz has had a great day at the plate.
Yeah, not a great day at all. And he takes strike 1 there, a beautiful pitch by Munoz. Great to see, love to see him dish so many great strikes so late in the game. I believe he's nearly at 90 pitches now, but we'll have to confirm with Coach Delvale. As that is strike 2, a beautiful pitch, hoping to end this inning quickly as Kristen just watches 2 straight fastballs right down the middle, and Costin sets up just outside.
Let's see if Munoz will throw him some junk. It was close. Very good spot right on the corner, but didn't give it to him.
Yeah, great job by
2 and 1. I mean,
Munoz.
1 and 2, I'm sorry.
1 and 2, yeah. Great job by Munoz, and you'll have to see him set up in such a great manner. Now maybe he can go more down the middle, fool Kristen as he does, and a great strikeout there.
Strike 3 by Munoz, inside fastball.
Now with Christian struck out, that will bring up Connor Tagine, class of 2024, who has also been fairly quiet today, playing in right field. So no real offensive change or offensive production by anyone.
See a check swing, but didn't go for it, so ball 1.
Yeah, and fair pitch to take there. Munoz just missed outside, and now we'll see how he can readjust with a 1-0 count, and a good strike there. Tagine thought about swinging, but ump awarded it strike anyway, and a great pitch by Munoz, hoping to end this game in a big way with 1 out. Popped up, and it looks like Leon will have it, and he does for the 2nd out of the 7th inning. And now batting is going to be, well, it looks like we have a pinch hitter here for Suffield Academy. So coming in to hit is actually Lucas Siegel, class of 2023 from San Francisco, California, who is rocking the short sleeve hooded sweatshirt underneath his jersey. Something that I'm not personally a fan of, but still looks good either way. As it's now a 1-1 count with 2 outs, and maybe just giving Siegel just something to see and a little good at bat here. Just some good practice for them at this point in the game, as no offensive production is to come. Is now 1-2 count, but top of the 7th, 9-1 game, 2 outs. We're hoping to see Munoz end it here, legitimately end it for that manner, as you may have heard earlier. Ball just outside. 2-2 count now, and maybe we can see how Munoz does at this point in time. And you can hear Coach Harlan talking to Justin, saying, execute here. He'd love to see Munoz end this game in a big way with a nice K. And it's a high pitch, so it's now full count. And see Coach Delville giving the signal to catcher Pat Costin, with Munoz getting set. 3-2 count, top of the 7th, 9-1 game, 2 outs. Strike 3, it has hit the dirt, and now the game has ended. So that is a great job by the Millbrook Mustangs to take the W after 3 straight losses, and they will play St. Luke's on Friday at 4 p.m. and on Saturday go out to Suffield. So we will be covering Friday's game, and we wish you all the best. Again, apologies for the mistake of the pitches or of the innings, but we'll definitely readjust with Charlie K coming back on the call. Jason